Welcome to the Healers Podcast, where we inspire and guide healers through business expansion. We give voice to incredibly abundant healers to share their stories. We dive into the quantum field to unlock the energies of conscious creation. We also develop digital tools to help you grow, which you can find on healers.com. I'm your host, Yuli, and I'm grateful you chose to join this space. Now let's go deep. Hello, my dear friends, and welcome to another super insightful episode of the Healers Podcast. Today, we have the legendary Udo Erasmus, the founder of Udo's Choice line, which can be found at Whole Foods and other health food stores worldwide. He's an acclaimed speaker and author of many books, including the best-selling Fats That Heal, Fats That Kill, which has sold over 250,000 copies. He teaches at events hosted by Tony Robbins and Deepak Chopra, his keynoted International Brain Health Conference, and has traveled to over 30 countries to conduct thousands of live presentations, media interviews, and staff trainings, impacting more than 25 million lives with his message on oils, health, peace, nature, and human nature. Udo has an extensive education in biochemistry, genetics, biology, and nutrition, including a master's degree in counseling psychology. I'm just so honored to have you in our space, in our holistic community. Welcome. And as you know, I like to set intention for each episode. And for this one, I'm really so honored to have this opportunity to inspire our holistic community with all your wisdom, not just as a health expert, but also as an incredible business person who built this incredibly inspiring holistic empire. And I really hope our listeners can get some of your wisdom and get inspired to think big.
All right.
If you would like to set your intention as well, please do.
Well, my intention is always really simple. I came out of a war. And when I was very young, like 6 years old, I said, man, there must be a way to live in harmony. Man, there must be a better way to live than this. And I'm going to find out how. And that's been my driver all my life. So my intention is always, what can I do in the situation I'm in that will elevate people's quality of life in whatever way is possible? That's all I'm interested in. That's all I've ever been interested in, actually.
Mm-hmm.
And it feels good in the heart when you do that. It feels good in your chest when you do that, right? Helping feels good. So we're wired for it, right?
Absolutely.
And hurting feels bad. And I like feeling good more than I like feeling bad. So helping is what I'm obsessed by.
Amazing. Well, speaking of helping, I want to jump kind of right in and ask you, when was the moment you felt like you're into something big, that you're really impacting people with your work? I'm sure there were many moments in your incredible career, but can you share some of them?
Well, when it comes to oils, several things happened. I got poisoned by pesticides and the doctors couldn't help me. So that was one piece of it, right? And then it was like, oh my God, my health really is my responsibility. And I sort of knew it, but now it was real. So it was just not an idea. Yeah, my health is my responsibility. It's like, oh, I'm on my own here, right? And I had the backgrounds to look in the research to find out about nutrition and health, nutrition and disease. That's really the focus that I had because I wanted to get healthy. So that was one piece. The second piece was I found out how much damage is done by industry to oils when they make them, the commercial oils, edible oils, right? 0.5 to 1%. And if it's 1% damage, then in a tablespoon, when I talked to them and I said, why do you do this when you know it does damage? Because I read that in their journal. And they said, well, one of the reasons we do it is we can get rid of half of the pesticides in the oil. And I'm thinking, oh my God, I got poisoned by pesticides. There's pesticides in oils. 50% of them stay in. Oh my God, I didn't even know there were pesticides in the oil. So this is like eye openers, right? And then I said, he said, well, what the hell is your problem? It's like, it's only 1% damaged. 99% of it's still good. And so then I thought, well, maybe I'm overreacting. It's only 1%. So let me do the math. So I said, okay, how many damaged molecules will you find in a tablespoon of oil if it is 1% damaged? And I asked people that question to guess how many damaged molecules. And they always guess. Well, give me a number. Just tablespoon of oil, it's 1% damaged. How many damaged molecules in the tablespoon?
I don't know, 1,000.
Okay, 1,000. 1,000, that's 3 zeros, right? Okay, so you want to know the actual number?
Yes.
It's a 6 followed by 19 zeros.
Wow.
Quintillion damaged molecules. So what we're doing to ourselves when we use these oils, we're doing something to us that in your case is 60 quadrillion times worse than you think it is. And when people give me numbers, they always estimate at least 1 billion times lower than what it actually is. So we're doing something to ourselves when we use these oils every day, 2 to 4 tablespoons of something that is 1 billion times or more worse than we think it is. So then I say, okay, like you're going to get in an airplane and you're going to fly home for the holidays, right? So you got your boarding pass, you're waiting to board. And just before you board, somebody taps you on the shoulder. You know, this is a truth teller. Only ever tells the truth. Says, by the way, did you know that your chance of crashing and dying on this flight was 1 billion times higher than you thought it was? Would you get on the airplane? No, I was in Ireland. I said I would canoe back to Canada, right? And my chance of getting there wouldn't be that good, but I would prefer to do it that way than to get on an airplane where I thought that, where my chance of crashing and dying was, in your case, today, right? 60 quadrillion times higher than we thought it was, right? And I say that because we do it because we're so used to doing it. We need to stop and think, what are we actually doing here? So that was another piece. It's like, oh my God, there's so much damage being done to the oils. The third one was, I found out that 99% of the population does not get enough omega-3s for optimum health. Single most widespread essential nutrient insufficiency. And then I was like, oh my God, if we could make them without damage, and we could bring them back into the population and make sure that everybody gets it. Oh my God, we could help almost everybody. And I got so inspired. I found a purpose. Oh my God, this is a mission from God, right? And then I was like, and that enthusiasm that I got for, it's nice. Like it's nice helping old ladies across the road, right? This feels good in the heart. It's something we're made for. Yeah, but I could help almost everybody on the planet. And then the goal became a bottle of oil made with health in mind in every fridge. Because when I understood how much damage is done to oils, I figured out we should be making oils with health in mind rather than with shelf life in mind. And so I developed a method for doing that. And it has to be very tight because light, oxygen, and heat damage oils very easily. So you have to protect them. If you want them to retain the health benefits, you have to protect those oils. And you have to do that so that no light, no oxygen, and only low temperature get to the oil from the time it's in the seed, where nature's packaging keeps it pretty well, through the pressing, the filtering, the settling, the filling, till it's in a brown glass bottle, because plastic leaches into oil, so you don't want plastic packaging. In a brown glass bottle, in a box, in the fridge, in the factory, in the stores, at home. And you add it to foods after they come off the heat. You never, ever, ever, ever use good oils for frying, because frying is the most damaging thing we do to our health, worse than white sugar. Frying is more health problems come from damaged oils than any other part of nutrition. More health benefits come from making the oil change that your body needs to oils made with health in mind. So that's kind of like it's the story. And that was, oh my God, we could help almost everybody. And then it was like, we never set goals. We never set goals. Every year you set a goal. Well, we want to go up 5%, 10%. We said, I just said, okay, let's just get the hell out of there. Let's see how far we can get. The goal was always a bottle in every fridge because everybody's already using oils, but they're all using oils that are damaging health.
Mm-hmm.
So those kind of things came together. And the timing wasn't my timing. I got poisoned when I got poisoned. I was already looking at the research when it was established that omega-3 is an essential nutrient. That was in 1981. I got poisoned in 1980. So I had my head in the journals. I was trying to figure it out. How do I get healthy? And oils were really confusing. So I kind of got locked into that because they said omega-6 is essential. You have to have it. You can't live without it. And the very next study said omega-6 gives you cancer and kills you. And I'm going, what? What? I have to have it so it can kill me? No, there's got to be something wrong here. And it was that contradiction that got me to look deeper and find out how much damage is done to oils by the processing that industry does, because they do it for shelf life. They don't do it for health. And then as like a whole industry got started making oils with health in mind, out of this thing that came together by forces much bigger than me, right? And being poisoned by pesticide became a gift at that point.
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm glad that happened because it stopped me and got my attention and got me to look, right? And then the learnings began. So there's several things that came together, and it's it's usually like that when, you're in a situation, you have certain talents, something happens, and you all of a sudden you look at something and maybe you see something you've never seen before, or that nobody's ever said before. And then you're obsessed. Oh my God, we can do better than this, right? I came out of a war. This is like stupid, right? And then out of that comes inspiration. And when you're inspired, you have a lot of energy. Inspiration frees energy. And then you can do things that if you asked an accountant, should we do this business? He said, don't even start, right? And then instead, what gets done by passion, not by bean counters.
No, it's a very beautiful story. And I love that you turn your personal challenge into this beautiful solution that helps millions today. But it still sounds very simple, right? When you say fueled by passion, can you help us for some of the people that might be having some of those ideas or beginning of those inspirations, but they really don't know what the next step is? They can see it, they can visualize it, they have the big dream, but you still, we still live in this 3D reality that you have to make certain steps. And yes, talking to an accountant is one step, which is not always helpful because they can talk you out of things. So the same with legal and such. Yeah. But how did you proceed in your case? What was the next steps in your process to actually get that beautiful idea to every fridge?
Right. So I think you have to embody the inspiration and you have to lose the three-dimensional reality, right? Because that's all your doubts and all your, when you were a little kid, your parents told you can do anything you set your mind to. Then you become a teenager and you start doing the thing, whatever you want. And then they say, you got to be realistic. You have to have a job. You got to get, what are you going to be practical, right? So first they set you up and then they knock you down, right? No, you have to lose the three-dimensional reality. You cannot do something original if you don't let go. You can't row your boat across the ocean if it's tied to the dock. So you have to untie it from the dock, right? And a lot of that, and there's self-doubt. So what I did specifically, I moved in with my mother. I was 1983. I moved in with my mother. I was 41 years old.
Oh, wow.
Moved back in with my mother. And because I had said to her, because I wasn't working, because I had been poisoned and I wasn't sure where I was going next. And I said to her, I want to write a book. I started reading about fats. And then this thing was like, oh my God, other people should be able to benefit from what I'm learning. Because I took a lot of biochemistry, including fat biochemistry, all of this stuff I was reading was never taught in biochemistry. So I said, well, there must be other people who could benefit from this knowledge. Okay, well, I'll write a book. So then I met a guy who wanted to make an oil factory. But then his situation changed and he couldn't do it. So I said, okay, well, what can I do? What can I do by myself? Well, I can write the book. That's a starter, right? So I told my mother I want to write the book, and I could do it weekends and evenings, but I'd like to be able to do it full time. She said, okay, you can move in and you can get free room and board. So I'm living in the same place that I was lived in when I did that in 1983. And right here I had a desk with a handheld, non-electric typewriter. Click, 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 right? And my friends were all partying and I was on the typewriter. And sometimes I would say, I don't know, why the hell am I doing this? My friends are partying. I like to party, right? And then something would always happen that would say, no, keep doing it. You're on the right track. So then I wrote the book. First time I got 60 pages into it and I said, this is garbage. So I had to start again. Second time I got 30 pages into it. I said, I wouldn't buy this book. Had to start again. And the third page, it just rolled out. I wrote 54 chapters, one after the other. The only thing I did, I just got into a flow. And there's a point when you're understanding, because I was reading every day. I was in the library all the time. I was driving to the library. Taking a bus to the library. And then I'd go into the stacks and I'd pull the books and I'd ask the librarian, where's this and where's that? And then I would read and read and read and take notes and look at this and everything, So, and it was like open-ended because I didn't really know quite yet what I was looking for. Anyway, so on the third try, it just flowed together, and literally other than sleep and hygiene and eat, I was writing. And I wrote 54 chapters, one after the other. And then at the end of it, I said, okay, what else is missing? I wrote 5 more chapters and inserted them in various places. But it's like the book almost wrote itself. It's like almost like channeled.
Wow.
I don't usually think in terms like channeling, but it feels like that. So I'm being used for something. And there's a place when something in you gets organized. And when you're obsessed with something, your whole being organizes itself around your obsession. It's just human nature, right? Now, if you've never experienced that, you don't know that because nobody tells you that, right? But, you've probably been obsessed once in a while. You got obsessed with something and magic happens, right? So you want to lose that. And then what happened was when the book got written, I didn't really want to do more. And my brother, who's a science teacher, he helped me with the book. And I tried out my explanations on his grade 9 science class because it has to be grade 9 level to be understood, because I can be much more technical than that because I spent like almost 8 years at university and most of it was in science, right? And so we did that. And then he said, well, you should make oils. You know what you're talking about, making oils with health in mind. You should do that. I say, no, I don't want to do that. I just want to pontificate. Right. And he said, well, no, listen, he said, you know what you're talking about. You've done the studies. You've done the reading. You understand what you're doing. Now you're going to write a book, and that book will get into the hands of people. They will use your book to sell their products, but they won't make their products the way they need to be made. So you should do it because you know how it needs to be done. And I grumbled, but you know what? It was like, he's really right. I hated that he's right, but he's really right. And so then and then when the book came out, some people got really interested. They said they wanted to work with me. And so literally the book found the people I needed.
Wow.
And that's another universal principle that I've noticed that when I do something or I have a goal and I'm inspired about doing something, And and I'm too lazy to do it. And I now look for help. I never find the right help. But if I start doing it and do what I can on my own without help, when I need the help shows up. How does that happen? It's the inspiration. I don't know if you create an energy field or whatever it is, and people are sucked into that energy field. I don't know how that works.
You become a magnet.
Yeah, literally. So the people to do it found me one way or another. And then that didn't do the business. I actually got screwed in the first business. When the money started coming in, they said, oh, we don't need him anymore. Oh, this is so good, it'll sell itself. And then so they pushed me out. Now I got depressed and I was close to suicidal.
Wow.
I put my whole life into this, and I thought if I make it work for them, they'll make it work for me. That's not always the case. Then I rewrote the book, and then the rewritten book attracted a different situation. And so the idea is, if you do what you can do without help, when you need the help will show up. But if you want to get the help before you've done what you can do without the help, then the help may not be what you need. That help may not be what you need. Because then you need to actually work on yourself, with yourself, by yourself. So you take it to as far as you can take it by yourself. Because why invite somebody into it if you don't need somebody in it, right?
Yes. Well,
and then what happened? We started making decisions. I have no business background, zero. I have not taken zero business background. Good background in science and understanding the issues. And we made decisions right and left about the standards, about how to make the machinery, about where to go, what to do, what to say, how to explain it to people. And of course, you learn it as you do that, you get better at it. Because I was actually really shy. When I was a kid in school, never asked a question in class. Never. Once I asked a question and the teacher told me I was wrong. That was the end of my asking questions. Never asked a question in university. Always tried to figure out things by myself. So I was really shy. And now I got this thing, and now I'm supposed to go out and talk about it. And I said to the guy who published the book, he said, do you want to give a talk on fats? And it was 4 months away. So I said, oh, sure. Safe, sure. And then the closer it came, I said, I'm not going to show up. I'm just going to stay home. I'm not doing it, because I was that nervous. And I said to him, I'm really nervous. I don't want to do the talk. He said, listen, you just spent 5 years on oils. So you know more than 99% of the people who are going to show up for it. And he said, the 1% that knows more than you, just listen and learn. And I was like, well, is it that simple? And then I did my first talk. My mouth was so dry. It was like hard to talk, right? But the moment that I got into saying, okay, I have something that can be helpful to people and focused on helping rather than how do I look, the moment I took the focus off me and how I look and put it on what I was here to help people with, the nervousness went away. And now I can get up on stage, and honestly, I don't get butterflies or anything. I'm so comfortable, but I won't get on stage if I don't know what I'm talking about. So that's still there, right? Yeah, and now it's like I've talked to thousands of people, sometimes thousands of people in one room.
Well, it's
easy.
Such a beautiful story, and there's so many great lessons there. And I think maybe it sounded again very easy, but the fact that you also, after the being pushed out, that you went back and actually rewrote the book and built it all over again is just so impressive, because I feel like it's something that shouldn't be taken for granted. It's really a special skill that, like phoenix, that gets reborn over and over again.
Yeah.
So it's really inspiring.
Well, actually, let me tell you the story about that. So when I got pushed out, I was really depressed, and I talked to somebody. He said, "Well, what's your problem? You're just upset about an idea." And I was like, what do you mean idea? I put my whole life into this, right? And a week later, I said, oh yeah, it's just an idea that I'm upset about. But that didn't fix it because, and so I wrote to a mentor that I have and told him what happened. And he had somebody call me and said, keep working with flax. And when I got that advice, I said, wait, why the hell would I want to do that? Flax is the cause of all my pain, right? And it wasn't until several years later that I recognized how important that advice was, because I already had 10 years into flax. I could have started from scratch and moved in with my mother again, although she was gone by that time, right? And started from scratch again. And he was wise enough and not emotional about my situation. So he could see clearly, you've got 10 years into this topic. Keep going. And so that's and then it's like, yeah, because even the fact that he cared and to give me the advice, kind of like, and then I went on, then I rewrote the book, and then we improved, went from flax to a blend that is better balanced, because I actually became omega-6 deficient on flax oil. And I said, well, I want to make something that helps people that can't hurt people. And so then the blend came out, and then I went on and I worked in digestion and worked with greens and worked with different things. And now it's total health based in nature and human nature. So it's just expanded the things expanded from doing it. Mm-hmm. Right. So it's interesting that it's not that I'm so smart or so wise. I just want to help. And there's an openness that comes from that, because you have to see, well, how can I help? And then, yeah, if I get good advice that allows me to help better, I'm open for that. If it's bad advice, I can blow it off pretty easily.
Yeah, that was a beautiful advice and a great point, that when we fail, we don't go back to square one, right?
Yeah. Well, if it's your mission, it's your mission,
Right.
But the thing is, how do you get the mission? To me, the most important thing is to do nothing. Go stillness practice every day. Spend some time alone by yourself, alert, awake, and present in the space your body occupies, and feel what that feels like, because that's where you find your peace. That's where you find the love that everybody's looking for. You already have it in you. It loves you unconditionally, and it empowers you and loves you unconditionally. And out of that love comes your inspiration. So what is your mission it's already sitting inside of you, but you have to get quiet to discover it. And then what is that mission? You become the inspiration for that mission. And then to deal with the three-dimensional reality that I told you before you should blow off. Well, at some point you have to deal with the three-dimensional reality. Like, how do you charge, and what kind of billing system do you build, and how do you make your presence, how do you get your presence out there, whether it's internet or you join clubs or whatever you do, right? Well, you get somebody to do that for you, because there are lots of people who know how to do that. And you make sure that you're clear on the mission, that you hold to the mission, that when it comes to the quality control of that mission, you stay in charge. I haven't always done that, but I've seen then how it degrades the mission when because other people have their own ideas about things, right? So if it's your mission, you need to maintain control over what is the nature of that mission, because it's your mission. It was given to you. Other people, some other people don't have a mission like that, and then they just cut corners. When you're clear about your missions, you don't cut corners, right? So then people say, do what you do best. And if you're the visionary, then do that and hire or include other people who have the other skills that you don't have. And that's important.
Beautiful.
And then you can, if you're starting small, then you get part-time help for that. There are people who do books and, who can do marketing campaigns on the internet. You can go to the schools that teach those people. They'll get you the help. You can sometimes get government subsidies for part of the expense of that, because it's in the government's interest for businesses to be successful. So I still don't have any business background. I'm a little bit more comfortable with it than I was, and I don't really want to be a businessman. I don't know why. I have that vision, and it's always a vision about helping, and it comes out of the war and everything being really stupid, and thinking, no, you know what? There's a better way to live, and how can we live better, and how can we prevent the wars? Well, you got to find the peace, you got to find the power, and you got to then bring that into the world. That's how you build a peaceful world. You bring peace that you feel because you sit still to discover it, and you bring that into the world.
It's such an important point that you're making. And I feel like a lot of people in this space, they have the mission, they have the vision, they figure it out. But I think the speaking part is still very difficult for people, because a lot of healers or holistic practitioners, they still carry this block of being seen, or maybe being criticized by different communities for maybe who find their views controversial. I mean, there's all kinds of blocks, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I feel personally, and this is for me, the podcast is my mission of being heard and getting the voices out, because we have to speak up. This community has to speak up, because if we don't speak up, there's other information that gets out there and gets way more attention.
Right.
So it's really important to exercise that.
Right. Like disease management becomes healthcare, right?
Right.
Right. It's like I took a year of medicine. I wanted to know what health is. We were only learning about disease. So I went to the dean and I said to him, so what is health? I came here to study health. We call it healthcare. So what is health? He said, we don't know. We're working on it. And I was like, what? You call it healthcare and it's not health? Right. And then we were told in first year medicine, a doctor should always sound as though he knows what's going on, even when he doesn't.
Oh, wow.
And we call that lying on the farm. I said, no, that's not for me. And so I went back into biochemistry and genetics, because I realized I learned more about health in biology than I'm going to learn in medicine.
Yes.
Because they're just focused on disease, and you don't find out what health is. You don't find the right answer by looking only at the wrong answers. When 2 + 2 is 4, right? You don't figure that out. You have to know that. Well, once you know that every other answer is wrong. It's like infinite minus one answer to the question what is 2 + 2 are wrong, and you only have one right answer. Right? If you guys find the right answer, then you automatically also know what all the other answers that are wrong. So why aren't we looking for health? And why aren't we looking for peace? And why aren't we looking for love? And defining what those are, and especially defining them experientially, right? Because then you know what it is, and then you can live really well and not be guessing all the time, right? Because if you don't know the right answer, you're always guessing. And then you ask all the experts, and all the experts have agendas, and then you see, and sometimes you don't know all of their agendas, right? And then they mislead you because you're not leading yourself, right? So that goes back to the stillness practice. If you can, because everything you're looking for out there in terms of personal fulfillment is built into you. It's already within you, but your focus wandered off. When you got born and had to get to know the world, your focus wandered off. Now you're focused everywhere except within yourself, where all the goodies are. And so the wise people of all ages, I've always said, come back to yourself. What you're looking for is within you. Seek first the kingdom. Kingdom of heaven is within you. Seek first the kingdom, right? Well, so we hear that. Kingdom of heaven is within me. Okay, but I'm still looking for everything outside, right? As I said, didn't you just hear what he said? The kingdom of heaven is within you. Oh, why aren't you looking inside? Oh, yeah, seek first the kingdom. Do that first. because once you get yourself clear, everything else becomes easy. I mean, easier. And it's not like everything becomes.
But but I feel like a lot of people in the space, they know the truth deep inside. They're highly intuitive.
Yeah.
Right? And they might have the answers. They might not know the scientific explanation for everything they see or feel, but they have deep intuition and they know the answers. But they still maybe lack that confidence to go out there and speak up from different reasons. Maybe because they feel like they don't have the right scientific backing to make those statements. Maybe they are concerned from the backlash, or maybe it's a self-doubt that this is just me and my intuition imagining things. Okay. So there's a lot of thoughts that come to mind when you are going out there and bringing your mission out there and sharing it with the world that is not always friendly. So how do you overcome that?
I think the answer to that is you have to go deeper inside you. The peace in you has no doubts. The unconditional, empowering love that is your life has no doubts. Is always healthy. It's perfect health. And the more settled you are in that, and not just when you're sitting still, but you hold on to it when you move around in the world. Be present in your own space when you're interacting in the world, because that's where the confidence lives. And it doesn't depend on a scientific explanation. You can find the words if you understand another person's language skills or their vocabulary. You can say things in a way that they will understand using their language if you're really clear within yourself what it is and that you would want to help them, right? And then other than that, in psychology, we were told that when you don't have confidence, it's because you're more worried about how you look than what you're delivering. And it said when you focus on yourself, then you get nervous. And when you focus on the gift, on what you're bringing to people, you lose that nervousness. So I did a little experiment. I was sitting in a room that was used for people to take turns talking about their experience. And I wouldn't talk because I was that shy, right? So I sat in the chair, the room was empty, and I pictured myself in the chair thinking about, I was in the chair thinking about how do I look? And literally, I could adrenalize myself in a chair, in an empty room where there was nobody, just by my stupid idea of how good I looked. And then I would switch to, okay, I'm here to give you the best I've got in terms of information that you can use to make your life better. And the moment I did that, the adrenaline went away. And I literally went back and forth between the two. And so it was like, I proved to myself what my professor had said. I proved it to myself in my own experience. And that made it really clear to me, I'm not coming here to look good. I'm coming here to deliver a message. That's what made that go away. And again, then it's just a matter of time. Every time you deliver the message and, you get more focused because it works well, because literally 99% of the population that comes to your talk wants to hear what you got to say. But then you don't get on stage and you say, how do I look? Right? Then you say, oh yeah, did you know that there are 60 quintillion damaged molecules in a tablespoon of oil that's 1% damaged? Oh, now and did you know that more health problems come from damaged oil than any other part of nutrition? And then you say, well, how do you know? Well, I can back it up. I can tell you how you figure out how many molecules are in a tablespoon, right? Because that's all the background. That's the homework you do, right? And because it's not about you. So if you come there and it's not about you, if you come there as you make it about them, how can I help? How can I serve? What do I have that can make their life shine a little better?
This is such a beautiful story. And thank you for sharing all of really your journey to becoming what we see today, the version that we see today that looks so easy and makes, so much sense, and how much you had to overcome. I think it's just incredibly important for people to hear, and it's so inspiring. So thank you for sharing your wisdom and your journey.
Yeah.
I can't believe we're running out of time. I feel like we could talk for hours. You have so much to share.
Well,
and
we can do more.
I would love to do a part 2. But before we leave, I just wanted to ask you a couple of questions, any kind of last words of wisdom for our incredible community. And I know the audience will have access to your latest book, Your Body Needs an Oil Change, which I'm really excited to share.
Yeah.
So if you would like to say a few words about that as well.
Okay. So I made some notes before I came on, right? So the first one is, what is success? Well, it depends on how you define it, because it's your own definition for your own success. And it's different for different people. For somebody, it's $1 million. And for somebody, I helped a lady across the road and I picked up her groceries when her bag broke, right? What is success? And success is a feeling. It's not a bank account. It's not a status. It's a feeling. Second one is rich. Success and rich goes together. Rich is a feeling, because you can have $50 billion and be depressed. So rich is an inside job, just like success is an inside job. And by the way, you're successful because you're breathing. And when you stop breathing, then you'll be unsuccessful, but you won't care, right? Okay. Then the other one was, if you're obsessed with something, that's a sign that probably there's something there that you want to explore. If you can be, and especially if you can be obsessed with helping. And me, the stillness is always the foundation, because when I feel cared for, it's not about me anymore. And all I have to do is bring my focus into the space my body occupies. That's where the care lives. Life unconditionally loves me and empowers me. Me being the body, right? Life, and I'm actually life. I'm actually that unconditional love, that unconditional empowering love. So life loves the body unconditionally and empowers it. When that's an experience for you, you're literally capable of doing way more than you ever thought you were. Because you have, everybody has talent, many talents. When you're fully present in your space and you feel cared for and you're in peace, oh my God, there's so many different ways that you can help. And this is a cool thing, okay? And then the other thing is just making the biggest splash for good that you can make in the time you have on Earth. Can't go wrong on it. You can't go wrong on that, right? And then in terms of, I think that's pretty much it. There's no formula, because you're unique. So your story of your success story, your story of what your life is going to be like, is going to be as unique as you are. So it's not bad to get advice, but don't make the advice more important than your own experience, and really push for your own experience. So now I was just going to say that we're making a big splash here, I feel like, with this conversation and sharing your goodness and all the things that you do to serve people. So I feel it very resonates with me. I feel obsessed with helping this whole community to expand and really get all the abundance they deserve. And fulfill their personal missions on Earth. And there's so many people on a mission that living in this time and awakening and discovering their power when it comes to health, and they want to help other people. This is most people that come to the holistic healing. There are people that made their own discoveries and they just can't help but share it with the world, and they become obsessed with sharing their knowledge. So I think you're literally talking to the right audience here. And it's a great empowering message. Yeah. And the book, Your Body Needs an Oil Change, it's not formatted yet, but there's some good stuff in it. Fats That Heal, Fats That Kill is the big book. It's a very thorough book. I didn't read it. I wrote it, but I didn't read it. until about a month ago, I had to look for some things in it. And I started reading. I said, wow, the guy who wrote this really did a good job. But, when you write a book, you don't, after the book is done, you don't generally read your own book. At it. And I had it up to here, It's very thorough. It's very thorough. And a lot of people are saying, don't use oils and don't use omega-6s these days. Complete BS. Omega-6s are essential. Omega-3s are essential. They need to be made with health in mind. And the people who say don't use them are blaming the omega-6s and the oils for damage done by processing. And they're not blaming the damage, they're blaming the oil. It's a huge mistake. Huge mistake. And there are a lot of people saying that right now. And they didn't look deep enough. They've done half the homework. They didn't do all the homework.
Well, thank you for doing the homework for all of us. And
and I did it 40 years ago. There have been books like that. There's always a book like that. And not one of the people who wrote the books who say, don't use oils, don't use omega-6, not one of those people has ever talked to me. And I have not been hiding. And they just make it up. And then, and then it's like, oh my God, like if you yell fire, you get attention. So that's what they're doing with this thing. And they're just getting attention for themselves. And they're actually not solving the problem because they're misrepresenting what the problem is. So, when it comes to oils, come and talk to me.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, thank you for all of this wisdom. I just feel like it's been a packed episode. And thank you again for sharing the early draft of your latest book. And it's very exciting. And I would love to dig deeper. And please come back for part 2. I feel like there's more stories to cover.
Yeah, I talk about nature and human nature and total health. I'd love to do it. Just set it up, and I hope that your audience gets inspired and gets something good out of what we're doing.
Absolutely. I know they will. Thank you, Udo, so much again.
All right. Thank you.